Hello and welcome to The Big Fight, which is once again coming to you from the city of Mumbai. It's always a great pleasure to be out here in this absolutely beautiful hall. Today, the issue that we are going to discuss is an issue that I think we're going to have to continue to discuss for a while because it's becoming a highly contentious, highly controversial issue, and I don't think there are any clear answers to this. And this is the question of freedom of speech. How far does it go? How far should it go? And the issue is raised time after time, whether it is because Pakistan is banning Facebook and Twitter because of comments that are coming up there, whether the paintings of M.F. Hussain are being attacked out here, whether film stars are getting attacked for comments that they may or may not have made. Each one of these cases eventually comes down to the question of freedom of speech. So how far should it go? That's what we're going to be discussing today, and we have a great panel for you to help us really understand this. I'm going to start off by welcoming onto the program Subodh Kedkar, who's of course an artist, does installation art, a lot of other things as well, but in particular, the Hindu Jan Jagrati Samiti has been really upset with you because of some cartoons that you did and some other paintings that you did later, so we're going to hear all about it from you. Rahul Narikar, an old friend of ours whom we discussed the freedom of speech with at great length during the My Name is Khan controversy, so we know where you stand on where freedom of speech should be circumscribed. We'll get your views on it. Tavleen Singh is one of India's most respected journalists, and I have to say, Tavleen, you seem to believe that there should be no restraints on freedom of speech of any sort. So we'll try and get your sense of that. Sohail Lokhandwala, spokesperson of the Raza Academy, is vice president of the NCP in Maharashtra as well. But we're not going to ask you to speak with a political hat on, well, not really, any more than he is. It's also on the broader issues that we are going to be discussing. And talking about hats, the man with many hats who's not wearing any of them right now, Prahlad Kakkar. Tavleen, why don't I start with you as the only lady on the panel, actually. Why should there not be some restraints on the freedom of speech? At the end of the day, if freedom of speech is there, it's there in the Constitution, but the Constitution also says that it should be within limits, it should be with certain restrictions.
There are free countries and there are countries in which you don't have freedom of expression. I don't think freedom is the kind of commodity that you can say, okay, today I'm going to give you 20%, you know? I mean, and tomorrow you'll get 15. You either have freedom of expression or you don't. In India, we have a very ancient tradition of freedom of expression. Long before India became a modern nation state, we had the old rishis saying, when they wrote the Vedas and when they came up with what we consider the basis of India, really, they said, this is how much we know, but if you know better, come and tell us. So for me, that is sacrosanct. We then enshrined it in the Constitution, and I think that the people that support controls on it are mostly fanatics of one kind or another. Well, so we're tolerating...
I'm about to suggest some controls in it, and I'm not necessarily a fanatic, so...
Okay, no, but we're tolerating sometimes intolerance in the name of freedom of expression, and I think that's very dangerous.
So, I'm still wondering whether, at the end of the day, the point that you made on freedom of speech is fine, but should there at some point be limits? And I think that's one of the things that we're discussing. If, for example, I'm making a speech which is almost certainly going to lead to a riot, should there be controls in it or not? Let me ask somebody else who does believe in the freedom of speech. Are there circumstances when you should have some control? If I'm wanting to make some statements which are going to spark a communal riot or which will lead to a communal riot, or if I'm inciting violence against somebody, if I'm urging this crowd out here to catch hold of that gentleman sitting out here and beat him to death, should my freedom of speech be
No, I believe in absolute freedom of expression. There should be no controls. There are other ways of controlling those things. If I extend my hand, I know that I should stop my hand where your nose begins. But as far as the freedom of expression is concerned, it should be absolute.
Tubar.com,